What's up, Roadrunners? My name is Enrique Medina, and we welcome you guys back to this second to last episode of the Sportsrunner. Yes, we do only have one episode left with the semester closely coming to an end. But with that said, we give to you the latest on the NBA Hall of Fame ceremony weekend and the conclusion of the NBA regular season. We also give you the latest transfer news in soccer, more on this very surprising signing in Major League Baseball, and more on the injury situation that we discussed last week, and another surprise signing in the NFL. Along with that, Roadrunners, we give you another segment of the Sportsrunner Digest. And on that note, also make sure to tune in next week for our last segment of the Sportsrunner Spotlight. We have this and more in this week's episode of the Sportsrunner. With that said, we begin our show with our weekly recaps with Sportsrunner Weekly. Justin, out to you with the latest on NBA news.
My name is Justin Gomez, and this is your weekly NBA recap. First up, we have the man himself, Russell Westbrook, finally beating Oscar Robinson's 47-year-old record for most triple-doubles in NBA history. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Lakers beating the New York Knicks in a crazy overtime finish, with players like Anthony Davis and Talen Horton-Tucker going huge in the clutch. The Lakers want to see success like they did last year. They need to continue to play like how they did against the Knicks so they can make another deep playoff run. Next up, we have Andrew Wiggins of the Golden State Warriors dropping 38 points against the Phoenix Suns to lead the Golden State Warriors to victory. If the Warriors want to see any success during the playoffs this year, they need Andrew Wiggins to continue to play like how he did this night. He is definitely the X factor for this team, as Stephen Curry cannot do all the work by himself. Next up, we have Kyrie Irving with a scary head injury against the Chicago Bulls this last week. If you're a Nets fan, this is not what you want to see at all. With the regular season coming to an end, the last thing you want to do is head into the playoffs without your star point guard. Lastly, we have Victor Oladipo out for the rest of the season, having to receive right quad surgery. This sucks for the Miami Heat because even though they already clinched a spot in the playoffs, they're losing this essential piece to help make another playoff run just like they did last year. Again, my name is Justin Gomez, and this has been your weekly NBA recap.
Thank you, Justin, for the latest on NBA news. We now take things out to you, Fernando, with the latest transfer rumors in soccer. Fernando, out to you.
Hello, Roadrunners. My name is Fernando Ramos, and in this week's section, we'll be covering this summer's biggest transfers and rumors. Although the summer transfer window hasn't officially opened yet, there have already been plenty of rumors and some confirmed transfers. Although this transfer window will be completely different to any other transfer window we've ever seen before due to the financial crisis of COVID, this doesn't stop teams from reinforcing with big players. One of the biggest confirmed transfers so far of the summer window is the transfer of Dayot Upamecano joining Bayern Munich from RB Leipzig. Bayern Munich have confirmed that they will pay Upamecano's $42.5 million release clause as he joins Bayern Munich on a 5-year deal. Upamecano is not the only person that will be moving to Bayern Munich in the summer, as RB Leipzig's head coach Julian Nagelsmann will also take over Bayern Munich in the summer. Julian Nagelsmann will take the position of Hansi Flick, as Hansi Flick will join the German national team after the Euros. In order for Bayern Munich to bring in Upamecano, they had to let go of one of their defenders, and the player to leave will be David Alaba as he joins Real Madrid on a free. David Alaba will join Real Madrid on a 5-year deal as he will earn 12 million euros a year. Now moving on to some rumors, as it is reported this week that Zinedine Zidane will leave Real Madrid at the end of the season. The person that seems most likely to take over Real Madrid will be Italian manager Massimiliano Allegri. Max Allegri has lots of great experience winning Scudettos in Italy with Milan and Juventus, as well as reaching a Champions League final with Juventus in 2015. As for Zidane, it seems most likely that he will be joining Juventus if Andrea Pirlo's side fails to qualify for the Champions League. Finally, the last transfer rumor is Sergio Aguero joining Barcelona in a final attempt to try to keep Lionel Messi at the club. With Aguero already confirming that he will leave Manchester City at the end of the season, it seems more likely that he will be joining Barcelona to join his international teammate and friend Lionel Messi. This concludes this week's section of the Sportsrunner. Now on to the next sport.
Thank you, Fernando. Definitely some very interesting transfer deals that are set to take place. It'll be interesting just to see how the shape of the football/soccer world may change in the upcoming months. But with that said, Roadrunners, we officially move into Sportsrunner Weekly and our weekly recap of Major League Baseball. Let's look at what happened this week. We start this week off from Oakland with some very interesting rumors with the Oakland Athletics, and specifically a possible relocation. The Oakland A's, of course, have played in Oakland for over 50 years, since 1968. The majority of this time, the Oakland A's have played in the Oakland Coliseum, or what is called now Ring Central Coliseum. The A's have been rumored also for the past few months to potentially build a new ballpark near Howard Terminal in the Oakland area. Also, if the plan doesn't get approved from local politicians in the area, we could see a real possibility that the Oakland A's could actually leave the city. Some of those early favorites, if the A's do indeed move, include Las Vegas, such as the Oakland Raiders. Now Las Vegas Raiders did a few years ago. We also have Nashville, Oklahoma City, and a few other cities that may have the host for the Oakland A's. Away from the news in Oakland, we actually saw this week some very remarkable pitching feats come to an end. First off, Corbin Burnes from the Milwaukee Brewers. He had his unbelievable streak in this past start against the St. Louis Cardinals end, actually. Burnes held the record for the most consecutive strikeouts without allowing a walk to start a Major League Baseball season, with 58 strikeouts. But after Burnes walked the Cardinals' Tommy Edman, he immediately got cheers from the Brewers faithful, who officially recognized the end of Corbin Burnes' streak. The other feat we saw end this week was actually with the Cleveland Indians ace starter Shane Bieber. I know we've mentioned him a lot these past few weeks, but he had a streak of 8 consecutive starts with 8 strikeouts, end this past Sunday against the Seattle Mariners, after he only struck out 7 Mariners in a 3-2 loss on Sunday afternoon. In other huge news this week, we saw the Seattle Mariners call up their top prospect, Jarred Kelenic, for their weekend series against the Cleveland Indians. Kelenic would go 0 for 4 in his first big league start, but immediately turned things around in Game 2, getting both his first Major League hit, which happened to be a home run, and also getting 2 doubles to go 3 for 4 in the ballgame, ultimately a Mariners victory. It's safe to say that Kelenic, MLB's number 4 prospect, is definitely here to stay. This week also saw the Los Angeles Angels Shohei Ohtani do Shohei Ohtani things. Ohtani tied for the American League lead in home runs after he hit a go-ahead 2-run home run against the Boston Red Sox on Sunday, after the Angels were down to their final out. Ohtani looks to continue his torrid start to the season in the Angels' next series against the Cleveland Indians at home. Lastly, we give you an update on the Albert Pujols situation that we mentioned last week. As we stated last week, Pujols and the Angels decided to cut ties after he spent his last 10 years in Anaheim. Pujols cleared waivers, allowing him to become a free agent, and the Angels would ultimately be responsible paying the rest of Pujols' current long contract. With that said, Pujols has now officially found a new home, and to many surprise, he's signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Pujols won't have to go too far for his new destination, of course, and with the current recent situation of the Los Angeles Dodgers, the current injury of Dodgers shortstop Corey Seager, it may potentially open up a playing opportunity for Pujols, who looks to win a ring in this season with the Dodgers. Other than that, Roadrunners, I update you guys with the most recent MLB standings as of the end of Sunday, May the 16th. The Boston Red Sox continue their lead in the American League East with a 1.5 game lead over the Toronto Blue Jays. The Chicago White Sox continue their lead in the American League Central and now currently hold Major League Baseball's best record. The Oakland Athletics, as we did state earlier here in the potential relocation, they still lead the AL West, but hold now a very slim half-game lead over the Houston Astros. In the National League, the New York Mets lead the NL East by half a game over the second-place Philadelphia Phillies. The St. Louis Cardinals hold a 2-game lead over the Milwaukee Brewers in the NL Central, and the San Francisco Giants keep and hold their lead in the National League West, leading the second-place Padres by half a game and leading the reigning World Series champions Los Angeles Dodgers by 2 games, who are in third place. But with that said, Roadrunners, that will officially conclude this week's baseball segment of Sportsrunner Weekly. Again, I'm Enrique Medina. I now throw things out to you, Luke, with more on football.
What's up, guys? It's Luke, and here's another NFL recap. So, as we covered last episode, Juwan James, offensive lineman for the Denver Broncos, tears his Achilles while working out from home. And the NFL releases a memo reminding teams that they are not contractually obligated to pay their players if they get hurt off of team facilities. Earlier this week, the Denver Broncos announced that they are going to be cutting James, and now he's out of a job. Obviously, this upset a lot of NFL players. Went straight to Twitter and voiced their complaints, saying how unfair this is, saying that you shouldn't be making fun, giving a player a hard time for or being selfish for wanting money when they get treated like this. After further research, it's been shown that James hasn't always been the most healthiest player. He has a issue and a history of getting injured very often, and it's obviously not his fault. Some players are built different to last. Some are just sadly just get injured a lot, like James, and that just so happened to be the case for him. Obviously, we wish him luck and a speedy recovery, and that hopefully that he's able to sign to a team or get a second chance. But as far as a business decision, the Broncos, they picked up a lot of top tier talent for their defense during free agency, and obviously they need to give these players a bag of money as well. So this was also just a money move for the Broncos, just a business decision. It just goes back to the NFL being called the No Fun League. In other news, as we also covered, Tim Tebow is now signed to the Jacksonville Jaguars, reuniting with Urban Meyer, his old college coach. And a lot of players are not very happy about this, including their Jacksonville players. From a business standpoint, this is just clearly a money grab. A lot of Jaguar fans are also Gator fans, so obviously it makes sense. Tim Tebow being a Gator legend, Urban Meyer being a coach there. Combining all the fan bases, Tim Tebow's on the Jaguars now and all of that. Also, he's never really played tight end before, but, he's always been a big name, and, why not? They also got Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne. Just makes sense, make a big splash, bring in some revenue. All right, player perspective, not really happy about that. Tim Tebow hasn't been in the league for about 8 years, tried to stand in baseball, did sports analysis, college game day, he's been out and about, and sports media just loves to follow him. Not his fault. I don't think he's the type of player that tries to chase after the limelight, but that's just the situation it is. A lot of NFL players voice their opinions, saying it's very hard to get a chance in this league and that a lot of players are being overlooked right now. Like Colin Kaepernick, Des Bryant was one of those few players who I am a big fan of, but trying to keep it not biased, but he did take a long time for him to get back into the league after a fallout with the Cowboys, injuries, saying that he was a locker room cancer and stuff like that. But it's going to be interesting to see how Tim Tebow fits into the Jaguars, whether or not he could be even a starting player, which probably won't be the case. Again, this is just for big names. But we're going to have to wait and see how the Jaguar team and just the locker room react to this Tebow being part of the team now. And that just covers your NFL news. And thank you for tuning in to the Sportsrunner.
A lot of great news from this week's weekly recaps. Let's get to hear a little bit more of what you heard on in Sportsrunner Weekly with the Sportsrunner Digest. Hello, Roadrunners, and we welcome you guys back to this week's segment of the Sportsrunner Digest, where we digest some of that information that you heard in Sportsrunner Weekly in more depth and in more detail. With that said, we start off first with you, Justin, with the NBA. Tell us what happened this week.
All right, so this week we finally had Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett, and Tim Duncan introduced into the Hall of Fame. And I think this is crazy for me because I feel like a lot of players we grew up watching as like kids are finally like retiring and entering the Hall of Fame. And like it's crazy. It makes you think that like we have to like respect like the players we are watching now, like Curry, LeBron, Durant. Like they won't be here forever. So I just want to give like I want to know what you guys' thoughts are like. Do you think anyone else should have been introduced to Hall of Fame or like stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. First off, congratulations to Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, and of course the late Kobe Bryant. Like you mentioned, Justin, it's a surreal moment just seeing the players that we saw growing up finally make it to, the ultimate stage. Like for any NBA player growing up or any basketball player in general, you dream of like, making it to the NBA, but only such a select few actually even get to that point of reaching the Hall of Fame. So, I mean, it's a different level of greatness, and you have to appreciate that on every single level. And of course, KG was an absolute monster with the Timberwolves and the Celtics throughout his career. Tim Duncan and Mr. Fundamental, San Antonio Spurs, a true winner. And of course, Kobe Bryant, like so much to say about what he did both for the Lakers and his impact for the sports and just really almost the world in general, man. Like, man, there's so many good things you can say about these guys, and I'm truly happy they made it specifically, even together, because they were a big part of the NBA for a long time.
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the best talent-wise Hall of Fame classes. Arguably, these guys are the best at their positions. Tim Duncan, probably the best power forward of all time. KG, top 5 power forward. Kobe Bryant, top 2 shooting guard. Got to put MJ in there, obviously. But these guys, all-time greats, definitely crack. Maybe if like that, all of them combined, crack maybe like top 15. Depending on who you argue with or not. I think this was awesome to see them, get all inducted into the hall together. They all came into the league at the same time too, so we really got to see like these guys ball for like the amount of time we got to see them at least. And like by the time we became, like sports aware, these guys were just living legends already. They all have like 11 rings amongst each other, so many all-star games, first team, all that. Really cool to see that. Great heartfelt speeches. I think this was a great Hall of Fame class, and it was cool to watch.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I gotta say congratulations to everybody who got inducted into this year's Hall of Fame. Going back to what Justin said, you gotta appreciate the players that we have now, because, like you said, those players aren't gonna be playing forever. You go back to watching how LeBron, Curry, how we like watching them play now, but maybe in 10 years from now, they might be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And it's just something to think about.
Yeah, and honestly, just oh man, it's tough to really think that might happen in the future, because you watch these guys like throughout your childhood and throughout your teens, obviously, and then becoming an adult. It seems like LeBron's been in the league forever. Steph Curry, of course, and eventually they're going to reach that pinnacle of reaching the Hall of Fame. So absolutely, congratulations to everybody who made it to this year's class. There are some other people who made it, some coaches. Just really congratulations to everybody. Well deserved. With that said, we move on into our next topic. Fernando, update us with soccer.
So for this week's, I'm just gonna cover you guys like with biggest transfer rumors and confirmed transfers that have already happened. Some of the biggest ones as of right now, even though the transfer window hasn't opened yet, it opens June 1st. There's still pre-contract signings that have already been made. The biggest standout ones, I guess, to say would be the transfer from Dayo Upamecano from RB Leipzig to Bayern Munich. For context, RB Leipzig and Bayern Munich are right now currently the top 2 teams in Germany, and Bayern Munich have dominated the league for the last 10, 15 years. And for RB Leipzig to let go one of their star players to their biggest rivals, it's just it's doesn't make sense for me. As well as their coach Julian Nagelsmann from RB Leipzig has left RB Leipzig to join Bayern Munich, which again is doesn't make sense to me, because you're just making your team weaker to make your opposing team stronger. But with the signing of Upamecano to Bayern Munich, that means that Bayern Munich had to let go of some players, and the player that they let go was David Alaba. He joined Real Madrid, joining in the summer. I saw that David Alaba was going to make 12 million euros a year at Real Madrid, which is crazy. He's signing for 5 years, as well as Upamecano joining Bayern Munich for 5 years. So I just want to see, Enrique, I know you know a little bit about sports. How do you think these 2 signings specifically are going to affect the teams?
Yeah, definitely a snowball effect. With Upamecano, obviously, you're gonna have to get rid of somebody, and with Alba, they obviously pounced on that opportunity. I mean, Upamecano still is really young, has a lot of potential to grow even better, and he's already a great defender. And to make that Bayern team just that much better, we know what they did last year, pretty much winning every title that there was to be won, both in Germany and throughout Europe. Of course, Champions League winners last year. Didn't quite get it done this year, but they had a few injuries that were kind of big throughout this season, and to really add on to an already stacked squad, I mean, it's going to be be absolutely insane to see what they can do, not only in Germany but throughout Europe, and potentially win another Champions League, potentially winning their second in 3 years, and who knows how much more. They're a very stacked squad. And in regards to David Alaba, it has that pinball effect because it seems to be like it's going to happen. And, with Real Madrid specifically, what does that mean for Sergio Ramos? Is that the end of the captain's tenure, his long tenure with Real Madrid since, I think, 2005, 2006? He's been with the club. And, specifically, if I tell you the truth with me specifically, he's probably the one player I followed and really helped build my passion for the game of football, for the game of soccer, as we call it here in America. He's one of those instrumental players that really helped me appreciate and love the sport a lot. So, me specifically, I know I'm a Real Madrid fan, so it would suck to see Sergio Ramos leave, and it looks like that might have to be the move if David Alaba does come. So that would definitely suck in that aspect. But David Alaba still is a great, fantastic player. He brings a lot of veteran leadership, knowledge, and everything like that as well. So it's going to be interesting to see that, and just other transfer rumors that may come to fruition. I think it's going to be a pretty hectic and pretty interesting transfer window.
It's gonna be a different kind of transfer window this summer, just because of the fact that most teams, they're not gonna have the money to spend as they usually would have any other year because of the COVID crisis and everything. But as you can see from the last two transfers, there's still gonna be big transfers this summer, even if it's on a free or for cheap. Upamecano, the reason why Upamecano was so cheap, he was only 40 million euros, which is like, it seems like a lot, but a player of his quality is worth 100 million more. I guess there was a release clause in his contract that only activated this summer, which is why Bayern Munich were able to get him for so cheap. And going back to David Alaba, I think he's going to be a great player for Real Madrid. Now he can't only offer you so much as a center back, but he's also a great left back and a great defensive midfielder. So he can be used as like a utility tool for wherever Real Madrid need cover up. He can be that player.
Yeah, for sure. And, he also brings a lot of veteran qualities as well. He's been with Bayern for a long time. There when they won the Champions League. They're also for the heartbreak and disappointment that they've had throughout a lot of years as well in the Champions League. But, he's a known winner as well. And he's definitely, if there is a guy to replace Sergio Ramos, you could think that he could potentially be that man to fill in that role. And it'll be interesting to see as well. As you mentioned, a lot of teams are in debt or, without the money that they typically are, without the typical money that they have. So it'll be interesting to see how much that'll impact, some of the great clubs like Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester United, Manchester City, things like that. But only time will tell, and we'll have to wait and see. But with that said, let's move on to our next topic, Major League Baseball. We had some very interesting news this week, some pretty interesting news with specifically future Hall of Famer Albert Pujols. As many of you may know, this past week, last week actually, he got released by the Los Angeles Angels, and kind of a dispute between him and the team. He wanted more playing time with the Angels. The Angels couldn't really get that to him. He wanted to be more of an everyday player. The Angels had better players that they thought could kind of fill in that role of being an everyday player for that team. And it just didn't work out. They released him. Pujols cleared waivers. And with him clearing waivers, the Angels have to pay the last year of his huge contract that he signed back in 2012 before that season. So with that said, the Dodgers pounced in, and it sounds crazy, but the Los Angeles Dodgers signed Albert Pujols this past Saturday. It's looking to be made official tomorrow, Monday, May the 17th. So Albert Pujols is going to be a Dodger. It sounds crazy considering his Hall of Fame career. He spent the first half with the St. Louis Cardinals, second half with the Los Angeles Angels. The weird part about it, many are saying, is that he wanted more of an everyday role, but he most likely won't get that with the Dodgers. He like I mentioned, he might not get the chance to play every day. He's more of a bench bat, more of a veteran leadership type quality, a veteran that people can trust in the clubhouse. Experience, obviously, he could give you a good pinch hit appearance. But a lot of people found it odd, and I kind of found it odd as well. Kind of surprised with the move, just how it happened out of nowhere, and especially with the role he wants. I figured that he may want to start. He may just want to end his career off with the best chance possible at winning a ring, and that may be why he decided to come here. But I'm interested to see what you guys think about the move in general. Albert Pujols to the Dodgers. Let me know, guys. What do you guys think about it?
I mean, I think this is a great move for them actually, because he's not in his prime anymore, but I still think he's a really good player. He can still compete in the league. Like you said, he's a really good veteran. I feel like he can help a lot of the Dodger players out. And then another big part is a lot of Dodger players are hurt right now. Recent news that Seager has been out, is going to be out for a couple of weeks. I feel like he can step in and just really help out the Dodgers during that downtime for them.
Yeah, that's the only thing I see him doing. Being a veteran presence that it's important for no matter what sport it is, you need a veteran presence like that. Maybe I don't see what Justin sees in him. I kind of yeah, we all know he's not in his prime anymore, but I don't really see much value in him. That's what he could bring, except bring veteran savvy and leadership and building up players. Yeah, he could just be designated hitter, take a small role, but obviously he wasn't happy about maybe accepting a small role like that with the Angels. So I don't see how he'd be happy with doing it at the Dodgers, except them, possibly being contenders again. That's the only, thing he'd probably be happy about. Like, yeah, I would take a small role for being on a championship team. But yeah, this just seems more of like a big splash kind of move. I don't really see the value that they have in him, but with like Justin said, Seager out and other injuries, maybe he will step up and maybe show flashes of some vintage Pujols. So we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, no, I agree with you guys. I think it's a great move for Pujols in a personal level because of the fact that he might get a chance to win a World Series with the Dodgers, and for the team as well, he can help with his maturity and his experience. He can help the younger players and just the team in general evolve and grow as a team.
Yeah, and I say one last thing. A pretty cool part about it too is just if he would have stayed with the Angels, he wouldn't have gotten that chance. If this was indeed or is going to be indeed his last season, he wouldn't have gotten that chance to play in St. Louis against the Cardinals. So now with the fact that he's on the Dodgers, he's going to get that chance. I forget which month they play him in, but not only will he get a chance to eventually return back to St. Louis, he still has a good chance of winning a ring and what could be his potential final season. We're still not sure. We'll have to wait and see. But interesting move by the Dodgers. Veteran leadership, quality bat off the bench, could fill in whenever you need him to. There's a veteran presence in the clubhouse. We'll just have to wait and see. Let's see if he has any big moments in the future, maybe in October. We'll have to wait and see. But definitely interesting move. But with that said, we move on into our last topic for Sportsrunner Digest. Luke, let us know what's going on with football.
All right, so last episode, I talked to you guys about Juwan James, offensive lineman for the Denver Broncos. Quick recap, injured himself doing home workouts, tore his Achilles. Then, NFL releases a memo saying that teams are not contractually obligated to pay their players if they get hurt off the team facilities. And so basically he was going to go season without any pay. Earlier this week, it was reported that the Broncos end up just cutting Juwan James, and that really pissed off a whole bunch of players. I did more research looking into this. Apparently, James, has a history of not being the most healthiest player throughout his career. I know that's not his fault. Some players are just built, different. Some players are built to last. Some just get injured a lot, more regularly than others. Even if that is the case, that just seems kind of messed up, kicking someone while they're down. It was already messed up that the NFL had to remind teams that they didn't need to pay their players, but now the team just ended up cutting him. Just kind of leaves a salty taste in the mouth of players. Just wanted to see how you guys felt about it.
I think one interesting thing about it, I don't know if we mentioned it last episode, but I'm sure the league lost a lot of money during COVID, as did many other leagues around the world. So I figured that might be a stepping stone to trying to get back to where they should be, as far as like the not paying the players if they get injured, and this it sucks, man. Like for what's his name, Jawan James, right? You said,
Right.
yeah, it's just absolutely sucks because not only is he left without a job, but he's left without getting paid. And I mean, what fault does he have? He was just trying to get ready for the season, trying to help his team improve, trying to help the offensive line improve, and really help his team get better. And it's just, I don't get it, man. I just don't get it. It's just absolutely, it's bonkers to me. It's absolutely bonkers. I don't get it.
I mean, you said it best. Look, like the team were kicking him when it's down. It was already bad that the NFL couldn't back him up, and now the fact that his own team couldn't back him up, is just it's gonna leave a lot of a negative impact on not only the Broncos team, but every single team in the NFL. You know.
Yeah, like I don't really agree with it. No, I don't know like contract details, but I feel like you shouldn't be allowed to just straight up cut a player just because they got hurt. Like I get like even the not paying, like that's pretty bad, but like I guess on some side you can see like why it makes sense. But like straight up cutting him, like I think like that's just the team's fault. Like you took the chance to sign him, like you should have known that like he's injury prone. I feel like they shouldn't just be allowed to just cut him.
Right. Well, Enrique, he made a good point. Well, I didn't really cover it in the episode, but during the offseason, the Denver Broncos made a lot of big moves in free agency, added some like high tier defensive talent to add to their defensive scheme. So obviously, with not making a lot of revenue because of COVID and not having a lot of fans, they need to probably be a little bit more stingier with their money. And with that, getting like top tier talent for your defense, they owed these people a bag, and it just so happened that, hey, well, this guy already got injured, we didn't have to pay him, we might as well just cut him because now we don't have to owe him any sort of money. So that's the way I viewed it. Again, it goes back to the NFL being the no fun league. It's just a business. It sucks that it happened, but in reality there's like a lot more things happening behind the scenes, like having to be able to pay these top free agents that you picked up. Another really big thing that's happening right now. So Tim Tebow signs as a tight end for the Jacksonville Jaguars. A lot of people are hating on this right now, even players within the organization. People are complaining that other athletes don't get enough shots. Former Dallas Cowboy player, and I'm a big fan of him, obviously, Des Bryant, went out and said that he isn't very happy that this guy got a shot after 8 years not in the league. That he's been grinding ever since he got cut by the Cowboys, battling injuries and trying to prove his worth. Obviously, yes, he got picked up by the Ravens, but that was very short term. I just want to get your guys' thoughts on that as well, like whether or not this whole Tebow signing thing is kind of disrespectful or unfair.
I'm curious to see how actual football fit he is again, because we know a lot of his past few years he spent actually with his brief career stint with the New York Mets and trying to be a professional baseball player. And, that obviously didn't work out too well. He already retired. And I'm curious to see how actually fit he is. And like you mentioned, there's definitely a lot more players who may be deserving. They've been working constantly and grinding every day, every season just to get some type of roster spot. And to see him get it like that, it's definitely a little odd to me. It's definitely odd to see.
I think the only thing it was like kind of weird, like kind of like they're playing for, they signed them for like views, like trying to get more attention to the team or something. Because I think you said he signed as a tight end. And I don't think he ever really played as a tight end in his career. So it's kind of just like a kick in the face to like other tight end players, like actually putting in a lot of work, knowing the position well, and just like grinding to get that chance. And they just signed like Tebow like nothing.
Yeah, this isn't me trying to defend Tebow in any sort of the way, but it's not guaranteed that he's going to be a starter or he might get cut, early in the season or anything like that. Again, I just think this is just like a perfect example of networking. Urban Meyer's the head coach for Jacksonville. He was his coach during his college days for the Florida Gators. And a lot of Jacksonville Jaguar fans they're actually a lot of them are Florida Gator fans. So it just makes sense. Like, hey, play for the Florida Gators. This is his old college coach. This is a big money grab. We need to draw in fans. people are also overlooking that. Again, this is not me really defending Tim Tebow, but there's other factors going into this, and this dude may or may not even play. So I don't really find it that much of a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, something interesting too, Luke. I know you'd mentioned it before. We have guys like Kaepernick and a few others. And it just brings a whole another issue to that. Like, yeah, I mean, you pretty much explained it well. The reasons for it, Jacksonville, Florida Gators, Urban Meyer. Could be a money grabber. Who knows? We'll have to see. At least he could maybe bring a little bit of position versatility. He could maybe fill in for any trick plays. He could potentially be a quarterback or a trick play or anything like that. But yeah, weird move. A lot of weird moves that we've seen just in sports in general this week. I know we talked about pool holes and everything with that situation, but it'll be interesting to see what he'll be able to do in Jacksonville. But other than that, guys, that's going to conclude this week's segment of the Sportsrunner Digest. Again, I'm Enrique Medina, joined by Fernando Ramos, Justin Gomez, and Luke Perez. Thank you, guys. Unfortunately, Roadrunners, we weren't able to come in contact with an athlete this week, so you'll have to tune in next week for the final and last segment of the Sportsrunner Spotlight. But with that said, Roadrunners, that officially puts a conclusion to this week's episode of the Sportsrunner. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified for future Sportsrunner episodes. You can also check this episode out on our online website, elpaisanoonline.com. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media at elpaimedia on Instagram. On behalf of our team, I'm Enrique Medina. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Sportsrunner, and we'll see you next week in the final episode of the Spring 2021 semester of the Sportsrunner. With that said, we'll see you next week. Peace.